we were mad, yeah, no question. We had a car, but we weren't ready for it, not really. The M1 was just opened, it was empty, almost like an aeroplane runway, really. A few of us that had Mark IIs got together, and we'd go up to the Coventry Loop, and we'd be looking for someone to tear off. And we found that some of the new Mark IIs coming down from the factory, being delivered. So we'd have a little tear up with them as fast as they could, till they sort of got frightened because they didn't want to overdo it. So that's what we used to do for a bit of a hobby. We knew that they could do 115, 120 top whack. That's the 3.4 versions. And we had to go and see that they did it. It was sad when the speed limit came. We were very unhappy people.
By 1963, the Jag was being hailed as one of the best saloon cars in the world, and everybody wondered how they did it for the money. The truth is that the Mark II was built to a price, and not that brilliantly either. Margins were tight, and for every £1 Jaguar made, only sixpence was retained profit, which is why the Mark II rusted, leaked oil, and consumed timing chains like Smarties.
And despite being capable of prodigious three-figure speeds, the Jag still had plenty of unpardonable design faults, like headlamps that glowed rather than shone. And it was no featherweight either, tipping the scales at just over a ton, yet power steering was still an extra cost option. But woe betide you if you didn't specify it, because you'd need to be Henry Cooper to turn the wheel. And if we're brutally honest, the gearbox was crunchy and the dashboard confusing. Even the brakes. One of the Mark II's strongest selling points, discs on all four wheels, were lousy and disinclined to stop. Fact is, the Mark II was nowhere near as well made as it looked, but it looked so good that nobody cared.
From a man's point of view, the Mark II was a Botticelli on wheels. It's voluptuous, it's sexy, it's beautiful. To a lot of people it may seem like a scrapyard. To us it's not. These are all very valuable items of British motoring nostalgia. There are around about 24 where we are at the moment. Plans are to restore every one, if I live that long. My son and my grandson maybe will finish the job I've started. It's just so worthwhile at the end of the day. When you get something like one of those there, that's a pile of scrap, and you turn it into a thing of beauty like this, what more do you want? Look at the shape of that. Look at the shape of that car. It's gorgeous. The wife thinks I'm a bit of an idiot sometimes because it takes over my life. She says I think more about the Jags than I do her. I'm not going to comment on that. I don't ever want to see a time when Mark II Jaguars aren't on the roads. And if I can put another 100 on, then that's all well and good.
Jaguar knew that the Mark II's lines were its strongest suit, which is why Sir William offered establishment types a Daimler version, the gentlemanly 250 V8. By the late 60s, another facelift was called for. This time, in a cost-cutting exercise, those lovely broad bumpers went to be replaced by cheaper slimline versions. And horror of horrors, the leather seats went as well. 240 owners now had the indignity of sitting on ambler upholstery, or plastic, to you and me. Buyers were also opting for the roomier, more refined and better handling S-Type. As well as independent rear suspension, it had a slippery, wind-cheating shape. The S-Type was altogether faster and more modern looking. And when the 420 appeared with its cliff-hanging front, it made the rotund Mark II look dated. Its days were numbered, especially since there was another big cat ready to pounce. The athletic XJ6 of 1969 rendered the Mark II obsolete. Smooth, silent, and even more upmarket, it was the best Jaguar saloon yet.
You've no idea how sensational the XJ6 was when it appeared. I remember my dad was running one of the last Mark IIs, an F-Reg, and I was a bit of a hero at school. Then one day, this scrap dealer's son was dropped at the gates of school by his father in a brand new XJ6. Well, that was it for me, because for weeks afterwards, they gave me such a hard time because my dad's Jag was not only second-hand, it was the old model. And this boy, a scrap dealer's son, I almost died of shame.
During the 70s, the Mark II quietly went the way all old Jags do, towards severe and inoperable middle age. With swinging depreciation, third and fourth owners could pick them up for a few £100 and wring the very life out of them. After that, it was only a short step to the breaker's cutting torch, and a few even suffered the unkindest cut of all, banger racing. Come the 80s and things started to look up. Classic car magazines began a process of deification, and wide-eyed enthusiasts all over the world took to restoring them at any cost. Prices shot up from £400 to £40,000. Suddenly, our old Jag had become a desirable chunk of 60s nostalgia. Ironically, most of these once hard-charging cars now spend their dotage being preened and polished.
I had it just about over a year now, but the only things we've really done with it is clean it and polish it. I'm afraid it's not gone anywhere, really. I think it's done about 120 miles in a year, if that. It's a beautiful car to drive, but I just don't want to get it dirty. We've received letters out the post from people in Scotland and one in Wales wanting to buy it, and I don't even know who they are. I've had people chase me for miles, flashing their lights, thinking, and I've stopped because I think there's something wrong with the bloody car. Oops. And all they want to do is buy it. It drives you mad, actually. When you're actually driving a Jag, you've got the weight and you've got the old 60s wind noise. And if you put some 60s music on, it is brilliant.
Well, there's no doubt it does make you feel pretty good about things. It does attract attention. People do look, and it's not that you want to be particularly a show-off, but it is nice that the car is admired. You always look back and wish you'd hung on to the old cars you've owned. We were lucky enough to be able to do it. And even friends that we don't see very often, one of the first things they'll say when they ask how we all are, "You still got that old red Jag?" And they're amazed when we say we have. Even people not interested in cars still have a soft spot for it. It seems to epitomise everything that was grand, luxurious, decadent, and just that little bit roguish.
So why, for 37 years, has this old Jag never really stopped captivating us? The E-Type may have been more sensational, but it was just a teeny bit feminine. The Mark II had a wickedness about it, a flash and impudent character, a stronger, more threatening personality.
And that, essentially, is why we love it so, because it gives off all those moody 60s messages from a twilight underworld. The Mark II Jag is a likeable rogue, a motor with a bit of previous. Handsome enough to forgive it anything. Why, oh why, can't we build cars that look this good anymore? Come back, Sir William Lyons. We need you now.